Hello everyone. Today is day 6 of Strixhaven spoilers. But before we get into reviewing these cards, I just wanted to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube video. Also, you could go and follow me on twitch.tv/_moonbeam, on Instagram and Twitter under Jarvis_moonbeam, and you can join my Discord by following the link in the description below. There's quite a few cards today, some that are really good, some that I want to have a lot of people disagree with me on my opinions on because I don't like them as much as others do. But let's get into it. First card is Decisive Denial. Decisive Denial is a green and a blue for a instant that you can choose one or two of these. Either creature you control fights target creature you don't control, or counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 3. This card's really good. It has the flexibility of a removal spell or a counter spell. Sure, it's only non-creature spell, but having that flexibility there is really good. In a soul type control shell, this could very well be played. I like it. The next card is Leyline Invocation, 5 and green. You put a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token with X+1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of lands you control. This might be a commander play. I don't think it's good at all, though. It could be a late game play in Limited. Get a big beater out there late in the game. But yeah, I just don't think it's a good card. Necrotic Fumes, 1 and 2 black. As an additional cost to cast this spell, exile creature you control, exile target creature or planeswalker. My problem with this card is that most decks that are playing this kind of control, where they're concentrating on moving creatures in a standard, don't play a lot of creatures themselves, so it's hard to go and get this to go off. Even in Limited, when I played cards like this, way down in, I think it's way down, in current Kaldheim, where to cast a spell you have to exile a creature card from your graveyard, I struggle to do it a lot of the time. So I'm not a huge fan of this. The nice thing is it is a lesson, so you can pull it from your sideboard if you have something that learns. So I'll probably draft this in Limited and leave it in the sideboard. Basic Conjuration, 1 and 2 green. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You gain 3 life. It's okay. Just okay. I don't think it should be a rare. I'm not impressed. I don't really want to say where I would play this at. Decisive Talent, 1 and a blue. Counter target instant or sorcery spell, such as controller's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name as that spell, and exile them. That player shuffles, then draws a card for each card exiled from their hand this way. I think this card will be played in Standard. Right now, Standard is dominated by Ultimatum a lot of the time. Before that, you still see the Cyclone Zenith Flare. And the fact that this is a 2-drop, counter the spell, and then make it so they can't cast that spell the rest of the game, makes it better than like Necromentia, where it's at 3 mana. I like this a lot. I really do. It's a good card. Good in Standard, good in other formats, bad in Commander because it's only 1. Mercurial Transformation, 1 and a blue. Until end of turn, target non-land permanent loses all abilities and becomes your choice of a blue frog creature with base power 1/1 or a blue octopus creature with base power toughness 4/4. Probably a cool Limited card. I don't see it playing much other places. especially with it being a sorcery. If this would have been an instant, this would be played a lot more. With it being a sorcery, I just don't see it seen play. Dream Strix, 2 and blue. Flying. Whenever it becomes a target with a spell, sacrifice it, and when it dies, learn. It's a 3-2 with flying, and that's good enough for limited. Probably not good for many other places. Plus you get to learn, and lessons are going to be pretty strong. Abstract Subtraction. 1 and a blue. Target creature gets -4/-0 until end of turn, and learn. The only place this would see play is limited. And you have to be the style of player that likes these kind of combat tricks. I tend not to play them, but some people do. Barog Scrambler, 1 and a blue. Flash, 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, target creature and opponent control gets -1/-0 until end of turn. This reminds me of the rogue from Zendikar. From Zendikar. That when it enters, you get -1/-0. So it'll definitely be played. It is a frog wizard, so that makes it cool, but it's only going to be played in limited, nowhere else. Closing Statement, 3, a white, and a black. It costs 2 less to cast during your end step. Destroy target creature or planeswalker you don't control. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 creature you do control. Of course, it's going to be good because in limited, you want all your removal. In standard, it is 3 mana, but you don't. I try not to do stuff like this on my turn. I try to wait until my opponent's turn. So, I don't think I'll play this in standard. I really don't know if anyone will play this in standard. Because if you're not doing it on your end step, you're paying 5 mana to destroy something. This doesn't seem good. Because where this would really shine is doing it in combat. Destroy one of their creatures, pump up one of your blockers blocking one of their creatures. Silver Cool Silencer, white and a black. When it enters the battlefield, choose a non-land card name. Whenever an opponent casts a spell with a chosen name, that player loses 3 life and you draw a card. I don't really see this being good enough for standard. 3 life isn't going to make too much of a difference. Where it will see play is in a Hate Bears deck in Commander, probably more in the CDH side, where you're trying to loop the same spell over and over again. Because this could slow that down a lot. Like, it'll slow down Underworld Breach lines there. But other than that, I don't see it seeing play too many other places. Spiteful Band, 2, a white and a black, has Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield, with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. When it dies, you move those counters onto another creature you control. That's pretty cool. It's like Ozolith moving counters around. So for 4 mana, it's a 2/2 Death Toucher. And it grows something else. Potentially. It's okay. Limited only card. Umbral Juke, 2 and a black. Choose one. Target player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Create a 2/1 white and black inkling creature token with flying. Good limited card because you can create a 2/1 on your opponent's end step, have a 2/1 in the air to go in and get those beats in, and flyers are a little overpowered in limited. It's really hard to go and build around them or against them. If you have a board of flyers, you tend to win the game. Fracture, a white and a black, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or planeswalker. This is a really good card. This is going to be seeing lots of play in all formats I play. It's essentially a disenchant that gets a planeswalker. It will be played at least as a sideboard card in standard. And I can see this going into a lot of black-white decks in Commander. Show of Confidence, 1 and a white. When you cast a spell, copy for each other instant and sorcery spell you've cast this turn. You may choose new targets for the copies. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It gains interest until end of turn. So, my problem with this card is that white doesn't tend to be the cast lots of instant and sorcery colors. However, this does pair well in like a Jeskai build for Commander. If you're playing this in those kind of builds, this could go and do work. But just growing one creature like that, I don't know if it's worth it. Overall, I don't see it seeing tons of play there. Essence Infusion, 1 and a black. Put 2/1/1 counter on the target creature, gains life when it's on the turn. It's a sorcery speed, so I really don't like it. I don't think many people are going to play it, even in limited. Fuming Effigy, 3 and a red. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, Fuming Effigy deals 1 damage to each opponent. This is really cool. It is a spirit. It synergizes well with what Loreholder is trying to do in this set. And even at its base, 4 mana for 4/3 is pretty standard, with still having flavor text. Oh, not flavor text, ability text on it. This is a great limited card, and if a Boros recursion deck is in standard, this is going to be in that deck. Charge through a single green. Target creature gains trampled on a turn, and you draw a card. I'll draft this on the basis that it's a cantrip. I don't think it's going to see play anywhere else, but it's a good cantrip. Double Major, a green and a blue. Instant copy target creature spell you control, except it isn't legendary if the spell is legendary. So, Sakashima decks, yay. Copying Coma, yay. This card's just really good. And copying is becoming very popular with the release of Sakashima in Commander Legends. And clone decks are taking off. People enjoy playing them in Commander a lot. I don't know how much this will be played in Standard, but in Commander it's going to see play for sure. Crackle with Power. XXX 2 red. It deals 5 damage, 5 times X damage to each of up to X targets. So its floor is, for 5 mana, you deal 5 damage to a single target. If you go up to a total of 8 mana, it deals a total of 10 damage to 2 different targets. For 11 mana, it's 15 damage to 3 different targets. Now, I don't think it's going to be able to be played in Standard or Limited, but this is essentially very much like a Comet Storm for Commander. It's a good place to dump your mana. If you go and get it up, so 11 was 3 and 15. 14 is 4 and 20. It doesn't take that long until you get to be able to go and do 40 damage even on this. 40 damage is 26, and that's 8 and 40. 8 targets, 40 spells. 40 damage each target. I like this a lot. Pilgrim of the Ages, 2 and a white. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic plains card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. For 6 generic, return it from the graveyard to your hand. It's a good way in Limited to make sure you hit your land drop on turn 3. Other than that, I don't really like it at all. In late game, you can recur it if you're playing that kind of build, but yeah, it's not that good. Soothsayer Adept, 1 and a blue. Merfolk Wizard, 1 and a blue. Tap it, draw a card, then discard a card. Good limited card, it's nice to loot with it, and it has a big butt, which is always nice to have. Not really what you want to see anywhere else, though. Tomb Shredder, 2 and a red. It's a wolf with haste. I say tomb, it's Tome Shredder. Tap it, exile an instant or sorcery card, and you grow it. It's a 2/2. It's a nice 2/2 with haste. It is until turn 3 though, so you could be swinging to something you can't get through. But the fact that you can leave it up as a blocker and grow it on your opponent's end step is nice. Will even grow it after going and declaring a blocker. It'd be nice if it had Vigilance though instead of Haste. I would like that a little bit more. It'll be played unlimited, nowhere else. Bookworm, 7 and a green. Trample, when it enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life and draw a card. 2 and a green, put Bookworm from your graveyard into your library, 3rd from the top. People will play this as a big finisher if they're playing green in limited, but they won't play it anywhere else. Mascot Interception at 3 and a red. It costs 3 less than cast if it targets creature token. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature, gets +2/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. Only reason why this is going to see play is would mostly be limited, and that's only because you have a lot of creature creating effects in this creature token creating effects in this set. So it might be nice to go and get one of those tokens for 1 red mana. That essentially turns it into a Claim the Firstborn for tokens only, though. And it grows them, makes them have more power. Other than that, unplayable. Mentor's Guidance, 2 and a blue. When you cast a spell, copy if you control a Planeswalker, Cleric, Druid, Shaman, Warlock, or Wizard. I don't like this spell. It reminds me of Party from Zendikar Rising, and I don't know about you, but whenever I try to cast spells that required Party, it was hard to do unlimited. It just wasn't worth it. And to scry 1 and draw a card for 3 mana, it's kind of rough. Detention Vortex, a single white, enchant not land permanent. It can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. For 3 generic, only your opponents may activate this ability and only as a sorcery, and it destroys it. I hate this card. It is a pacifism that can be destroyed. Normally these cards are awesome and limited because they're harder to remove because most people don't pack enchantment removal in a limited on Arena because it's best of 1. But the fact that they don't need to pack enchantment removal and you're giving them a way to remove it, it's just not worthwhile. Novice Dissector, 3 and a black. For 1 generic, sacrifice another creature, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. You can only activate it as a sorcery. It's a 3/3. Bad. Only as sorcery. Don't like it. It'll be played just because of 3/3 for 4. And you can even grow it itself. But otherwise, I don't like it. Not playable anywhere else. Mascot Exhibition. Create a 2/1. It's a 7-drop, by the way, but all generic. A 2/1 white and black Inkling. Token flying, a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token, and a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. My biggest problem with this is there's 5 schools in Strixhaven. Why do we only get 3 of their creatures? What about Witherbloom? What about Quandrix? Aren't they good enough? As a whole, for 7 mana, getting a 2/1 flyer, a 3/2, and a 4/4, it's not good enough. Pull from the sideboard, and if you get it in limited, maybe. But otherwise, it's not good enough, and it's not going to really be able to be played in most places. Exponential Growth, 2x, 2 green. Until end of turn, double target creature powers X times. So for 3 mana, double it once. For a total of 6 mana, double it twice. So if it's a 1/1, it becomes a 4/4. Problem is, unless the creature already has some kind of evasion or trample effect, it's not worthwhile. I don't really see this being played anywhere. It's not even really good enough for limited. Symmetry Sage, a single blue, flying with Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, a target creature you control has base power 2 until end of turn. So essentially, if you have a copy an instant or sorcery, you're able to make her a 2/2. I don't really like him. Vanishing Verse, a white and a black. Exile target monocolored permanent. Now, where I like this is ever since Zendikar, well, really, if you want to go, of course, at 20, 21, they have really been shifting more to monocolored sets instead of multicolored sets. So playing this in standard could be very good because a lot of the big threats are single color. However, I think if you're going to play this, you're going to play it out of the sideboard, not in your main. I think it could be a sideboard card. I don't think it'll be mainboarded anywhere, and I won't play as a commander at all. Promising Dusk Mage, 2 and a black. When it dies, if it had a +1/+1 counter on it, draw a card. It's a 2/3 for 3. Find a way to give it a counter, and it's card draw. Play it unlimited, don't play it anywhere else. Selfless Glyph Weaver, 2 and a white. You exile it, creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn, and it's a 2/3. Really good effect. Sucks that you have to exile, but really good effect to go and protect your board. I like that a lot. Deadly Vanity, 5 and 3 black. Choose a creature or planeswalker, then destroy all other creatures and planeswalkers. So those two synergize well together on the same card. If you have a way to go and have another one in your hand. Never going to happen unlimited, of course. But later game in standard, it's a board wipe on one side. It's a protection spell on the other. If someone's playing a Warzov plus X, typically Esper, control shell, it could either be Esper or Abzan. Play this card in standard. It's really good. It can even see play in Commander, just because it is really good. Kilian Inc Duelist, a white and a black, lifelink menace legendary human warlock. It's a 2/2 for 2. And an uncommon, wow. Spells you cast that target a creature costs 2 less to cast. This spell is bananas. This will be played in every format that it can be played in, most likely. Reason why. First of all, it's a 2/2 for 2 with Lifelink and Menace. That's a really good card to begin with in a limited format. But spells you cost that target a creature cost 2 less to cast. That's regardless of whether they're targeting your creature or an opponent's creature. So your Eliminates Heartless Axe become a single black mana. Your 8/2 Extinctions will become 1 and a black to exile a planeswalker. That's just removal spells. Then if you add any like the Rimrock Knight spells, or any of those other growth spells, or any protection, anything that targets, just gets so good. This card is so good. It's going to be played in lots of places. I like it a lot. Mavinda, Student's Abacus. Abacus, it's 2 and a white. With legendary Bird Advisor. With flying, it's a 2/3. For 0 mana, you may cast target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard this turn. If that spell doesn't target a creature you control, it costs 8 more to cast this way. If that spell will be put into your graveyard, exile instead, activate only once each turn. What the hell? If you throw this into a feather deck for Commander, I don't see how this is played anywhere else. Unless you're targeting your... We're typically targeting... No, it doesn't really see play anywhere else. I don't like this card. I don't think it's very good. You have your Silver Quill Campus, which is the mana fixie for Silver Quill, and you scry. Silver Quill Pledge Mage, 1 Orzhov, Vampire Cleric. Magecraft, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, it gains your choice of flying or lifelink until end of turn. So if you do it twice, you gain flying and lifelink, and it's a 3/1. So it's good filler and limited. Not going to see play anywhere else, and the reason why it's good filler and limited is because you can get flying and lifelink. So it's okay. Mila, Crafty Companion, 1 white, Legendary Fox, 2/3. Whenever an opponent attacks one or more planeswalkers you control, put a loyalty counter on each planeswalker you control. Whenever a permanent you control becomes a target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. Really good, really strong. Any planeswalker builds, even if it doesn't play red, which is the other side of the card, this will see play. I like it. Pretty good card. Luca, Wayward Bonder, 4 red. +1. You may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. If a creature card was discarded this way, draw 2 cards. Nice looting effect. -2. Return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Exile at the beginning of your next upkeep. So you do have to exile it, but you get to keep it on the battlefield throughout the turn of the table. -7, you get an emblem whenever a creature enters the battlefield on your control, deals damage equal to its power to any target. So, same thing that we've been seeing with like Warstorm Storage effects. You have that with the wonderful dragon. I can't remember the name of it. You guys know. I should remember the name of it, I just can't. It's a 6-drop with 5 loyalty when it starts, which 6 drops are sometimes a little iffy, but having the 5 loyalty is nice. If you are playing, people like playing Super Friends. If you're playing this with the Casmina, you get a +2 this using Casmina's ability, and next turn, as long as it's not touched, it gets the ult right away. Luca, I can see someone playing this, making a standard deck around this. Planeswalkers are hard to go and throw in there, but I'd be interested to see. Maybe a Mardu Planeswalker deck with Tibalt, Luca, Professor Onyx. Could be a thing. Maybe interesting to try it. Blot Out the Sky. X, white, black. Create X, tap 2/1 white and black creature tokens with flying. If X is 6 or more, destroy all non-creature downland permanents. This is a sorcery. It has great art, especially that little guy on the bottom right. But the fact that they come in tapped, and this is a mythic, is awful. And they're only 2/1s. I don't want to pay 8 mana for 6 2/1s to just destroy artifacts, enchantments, and planeswalkers. No, this card sucks. Humiliate, a white and a black. Target opponent reveals their hand, you choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control. I personally prefer Agonizing Remorse over this. I probably actually prefer Duress over this as well, even though Duress is more narrow. Simply because they're both less intensive on mana cost, because they only require either 1 and a black or a single black, where this requires white and a black. And typically, decks that play those style cards, they don't necessarily play a lot of creatures, so that you don't really benefit off the +1/+1 counter. Also, Agonizing Remorse, it exiles that card. I don't think this is getting played anywhere. Might be a limited card, but it's not going to get played in standard, historic, no. Especially with historic having Thoughtseize. So no, I don't like this card. Exhilarating Elocution, 2, a white and a black. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature you control. Other creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Could be a cool limited card. Probably not going to see too much anywhere else. Gnarled Professor, 2 and 2 green. The artwork's cool. Tree Folk Druid with Trample. When it enters the battlefield, learn, and it's a 5/4. 5/4 Trample, all day, every day. It's only going to be played in limited most likely. Not going to really see standard play or constructed play in general. Devastating Mastery, 2 and 4 white. You may pay 2 and 2 white rather than pay the spell's mana cost. If 2 and 2 white was paid, an opponent chooses up to 2 non-land permanents they control and returns them to their hand. Destroy all non-land permanents. It's a bad Planar Cleansing, which is a bad card to begin with. I play those cards because I think it's hilarious to go and reset the board. But they're not good cards, and they shouldn't really be played as often as they are. It's not going to see play anywhere except maybe in Commander, and that's only going to be as a political piece. It's a bad card. Secret Rendezvous, 1 and 2 white. Sorcerer, you and target opponent each draw 3 cards. So, what makes me hate this card is that you're paying 3 mana to put yourself 1 card behind an opponent. I understand how white card draw is going to work. That white card draw is going to work that you're giving your opponent something in return. But why couldn't it be 2 cards so you and that opponent are still on the same level of cards in hand? Why couldn't it be 1 card so you have an advantage? Or why can't it be something that white traditionally gets in return, like life gain or a 1/1 human soldier token? Something like that would have made this card so much better and so much more playable. As it stands, the only place that this card can be played is in Commander, only in mono white decks, because all the other colors have better card draw, so why would you want to play this card? And only as a political tool. Or the only other way that you're going to play this card is if you're playing one of those wonderful jerk cards like Notion Thief or Narset or Pole Breacher. But even then, why would you play this when you could have a better draw 3 card that you don't even have to worry about your opponent removing your way for them to draw cards? It's just so bad in every other deck except the mono white deck that I don't think it's worth playing. And I understand the design space Wizards is going for white when it comes to card draw, that you have to give your opponent something in return, but it shouldn't be giving your opponent something in return at a disadvantage to yourself, which this card does. So that's my final thought on all these cards for today. Let me know what you think. Secret Rendezvous is probably the one that I'm going to have the most disagreement with, but like I said, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And until tomorrow, have a good one. See ya.